Hello everyone, welcome back. Me and Wello have been wondering how you were doing. We haven't heard from anybody yet. I'd really like to hear from you. So please give me your comments and let me know what you think of the videos. We're curious, aren't we, Willow? Well, tonight's subject is going to be Kiss. Probably one of the greatest rock and roll bands of all time. Kiss got their start in the 70s. They met in New York City. And they went from rehearsing in a small loft in New York to being a legend. You know, there's been a lot of rock bands. Some stories are told and later forgotten, but a legend is forever. Kiss, they are the living legends of rock and roll. No band has ever come close to duplicating them. You couldn't duplicate Kiss. They are so unique. Their costumes, special effects, the performance they give. A Kiss concert is a totally unforgettable show. Words just couldn't describe how amazing, how fantastic it is. Part of what we're going to talk about tonight is a question a lot of people over the years have asked about Kiss, but very few people know the answer to why they took their makeup off at one time. And as great as Kiss is, back in the 70s, they decided to try 4 publicity stunts. And unfortunately, all 4 of those stunts backfired on them big time. It cost them their promoting rights, and that's why they took their makeup off. And even their special effects on stage weren't as great as they used to be. They had to tone it down a lot. Now, their first mistake was during the disco era. You see, Kiss originally was just an adult band. They had an image of just being an adult group. You know, the performance they gave was very adult. Some of the songs they sang were quite adult. They were one of the baddest in their day. But during the disco era, they tried to just fit in like everybody else did. So they made 3 disco albums. That was probably the worst mistake they ever made. Out of all of those albums, only one song got any real attention, and people still listen to it today. I Was Made for Loving You, Baby. Just doing disco music, though, it changed the whole image of Kiss. They were no longer an adult band. For the first time ever, you saw like 8-year-old kids at their concert. And they started coming out with Kiss action figures and other Kiss toys, so it just changed their whole image completely. Now, their second mistake, they wanted to build a Gene Simmons amusement park, kind of like Michael Jackson's Neverland Ranch. Well, that idea didn't even make it to the drawing board. Now, their third mistake, actually I'm not sure if this was actually the third publicity stunt, but I know it's something that hurt them a lot. They were asked to make a movie. Now, Kiss, they were great performers on the stage, but they were not actors. And movie kind of put their ratings down. Acting is something they just didn't do. Their fourth publicity stunt. Yeah, they had this idea for all four of them to make a solo album. That really, you could say that was the final blow. Kiss was known as a group. The idea of them doing solo, it just never caught anyone's attention. And at that point, it pretty much left their ratings right in the toilet. And it wasn't long after that Peter Criss and Ace Frehley quit the band. Their last their last concert in makeup was in 1982. So after that was over, you could say they had to pick up the pieces. For the next few years through the 80s, Kiss, Paul Stanley and Gene Simmons, the founders of Kiss, decided to try and keep the band going. So they got some new guitar players and new drummer. And a lot of their albums they kept coming out with, like Unmasked, Animalize, Crazy Nights, Asylum. Did pretty good. But then they finally got the chance they'd been waiting for. They did kind of a reunion performance where former members were invited to come and participate. Now, from the time Ace and Peter left, they had 4 different guys in there. But they weren't sure if Ace or Peter would come to the reunion, but they did. It was pretty neat. They did a song, Rock and Roll All Night, Party Every Day, where of course Gene Simmons is the lead vocalist. But the new members, Bruce Colt and Eric Carr, they teamed up with Peter and Ace, and Gene and Paul. They all 6 of them did the song together. It was probably the first time Kiss ever had 4 guitar players in the group and 2 drummers, but it worked. And after that, they talked about doing a reunion tour. And Peter and Ace decided to come back. Now, what really got things kicking was Kiss was asked to host, I think it was some type of music awards event. I can't remember exactly what, but decided to go in makeup. So that night they all went over to Gene's house. They got out the old uniforms that hadn't been worn in a long time and the makeup kit, and it all started coming back. Everyone saw them for the first time in years in makeup. It was really a surprise. It was really great. And then when the reunion tour started, I couldn't believe it. You know, here was the old Kiss alive again. good as new, you could say. They did a reunion tour, and then they did what they thought was going to be their farewell tour, but it wasn't. But when they were doing the farewell tour, me and my ex, Janice, we went to see them up in Syracuse. And, you know, I always thought if I ever did get a chance to see Kiss, it would be like in the Animalized video. But I mean to really see all four of the original members together in makeup and with all their classic special effects back. I mean, the stage. If any of you have listened to the album Kiss Alive 2, I'll actually right on the cover it shows a picture of the stage, and that's exactly what the stage looked like this time. So you know the old Kiss was back. I mean, the fireworks, the special effects, the lighting. I mean, hearing them do their classic songs they hadn't done in years, and seeing like Ace Frehley do his hot guitar solo, and hearing him sing shocked me, and also seeing Peter Criss sing Beth. Gene Simmons doing his old special effects like spitting fire and spitting blood. Like I said, it was all back. And to see a Kiss concert, you know, like that, words just really can't describe the impact it has on you. The performance is, it's so energetic, it's so alive. I said I can tell you, like, there was a scene where Paul Stanley jumped on this it's like a rope or a chain actually with a hook, and rode it all the way out into the middle of the audience where he got on his stage and sang. Did a little solo act. Everybody came up, and I remember I ran up to him and took a picture of him. I said, there's no way to really describe it. It's something you just gotta see. I'm very thankful I had that chance to see Kiss when they were all together, like in the old days. See, back in the 70s when Kiss was at the height of their popularity, I never was able to go any place at the time. You know, I had a mother who didn't believe in taking her kid anywhere. She thought all her kids are supposed to do was work, and my recreation was my TV and my stereo, nothing more, nothing less. So, you know, I listened to a lot of music. Kiss. They were the Kiss Alive 2 was the very first album I ever owned, and just to listen to that, you know, ever since then I've probably been the most dedicated Kiss fan there ever was. I could go as far as to say Kiss are the lords of rock and roll. They're the greatest of all time. No one could ever do as well as Kiss has. You know, a lot of the heavy metal bands from the 80s have had their moment in the spotlight. Now they've kind of faded away. But Kiss, even though they started in the 70s and they kept going in the 80s, and now today they're still going. As I said, what was supposed to be their farewell tour was just another tour. after it was over, they decided to keep the show going. Of course, since then, Peter and Ace have left the band again. That's why I'm so happy I got a chance to see the real Kiss just once. One thing about their show, though, that surprised me a little, like at all of their shows, their big sign, if I can get a clear picture of this, no, it was always right overhead, right in the very center of the stage. But this time they did something a little different. They used digital signs. They had like, alright, here's Peter's drums. They had a sign here and a sign here. And right in the center, they had just had a big video screen hooked up. So the people out in the audience could see the camera shots, the close-ups. I'll never forget that night as long as I live. You know, I found out something that night I was a little surprised about. You know, when these guys come out on stage in their costumes and their big high heels, I mean, they look so big, you know, but when I got up close to the stage and stood next to Paul Stanley, I couldn't believe it. He's maybe 5'10", 5'11", about the same height as me, and I'm only 5'11". But regardless of that, still, nobody could put on a performance like Kiss. They were the absolute ultimate.